For India, these critical minerals are very important. They need it, and they would like to have a separate chapter in our free trade agreement. We are studying this issue. But the most important thing is that we are willing to cooperate with India.
Excellency, thank you for sitting down with us for this interview. I want to start straight with asking you one of the fundamental yet crucial question: how are the ties between the two countries, where they stand right now, and what are the potential areas where we can cooperate further, sir?
Thank you for this opportunity. India and Peru, we have a special connection because as India, Peru is an ancestral civilization. Peru is the oldest civilization in the Americas, 5,000 years old, like India. And it's the only country in the Americas in that sense. That means we started with such a special connection with India, ancestral civilizations.
So, what about the ties now? What are the major areas where we are focusing?
Well, now the relations are quite friendly. We don't have any particular problem. On the contrary, we would like to strengthen our relationship in two areas, especially in trade and investment and cultural. Cultural, because as I already told you, we are ancestral civilizations. We have a lot of history, we have a lot of similarities, some same values. And in trade and investment, because Peru, as I must say, all Latin American countries, has a complementary economic and cooperation with India. For instance, Peru has a lot of minerals that India needed, and we need a lot of pharma components that India is one of the top producers in the world. No? This complementary helps to have a space to grow in trade and investment.
So you mentioned about the trade. We have seen well, and if we consider numbers, the trade between the two countries grew from USD 2.34 billion in 1920 to USD 4.03 billion in 2023 to 24, sir. What do you attribute this growth to, and where and how do you assess going further? What are your numbers going further, sir?
Last year we have 2024 we have almost 6 billion, both sides, India and Peru. This year we expect to grow at least almost 7 billion. The main product that we export to India are minerals, especially gold, uh, copper, zinc, iron ore. India sell us, and we import from India medicines, um, a lot. Started we started to buy cars, uh, rickshaws, and other products.
So though their trade numbers are increasing, but there is a trade deficit. There is a trade imbalance in favor of Peru. Are there any other commodities and goods and services that Peru can import from India so that there is a balance between the two countries, sir?
Yes, in fact, we already have some companies in IT. We need a lot of IT companies because India is quite uh, important in global terms in IT, and we need that kind of cooperation. By the way, we agree to have cooperation by India in the field of Paytm UPI. In fact, it is the first country in Latin America and Caribbean that we now are implementing this magnificent um, financial tool that is so useful because promote financial inclusion to the population. In that sense, we are going to finalize the negotiation, the implementation of this system in Peru.
Sir, what is the timeline for that? Are you planning to implement it by the next year or this
Well,
year?
we signed an agreement last year,
Yes.
and there are a lot of experts from India going to Peru because it's a complex system. But I think next year, perhaps at the beginning of next year, we are going to start implementing in our population this important financial tool.
So when we talk about trade, we are negotiating a free trade agreement that is very important for both the countries. How are negotiations going? Because we saw a meeting took place recently earlier this month. How are they going, and what can we expect?
Yes, we started negotiating to India in 2017. 8 years ago. But unfortunately, the COVID pandemic, stopped all negotiations. But now we are in a very fast track negotiation. The idea is to finalize negotiation next year, at least in July, June, July. We are now in the 9th round of negotiation. We just we held it in Lima at the beginning, as we mentioned. We expect to have the 10th round of negotiation in January next year, but at the same time, we are going to have intersessional virtual negotiation between next week till the 10th round of negotiation in India, will be in Delhi.
Sure. Sir, when we talk about FTA, very important for both the countries.
Yes.
What are those commodities where FTA is being negotiated on and special focus is on? Can you tell us a bit of that?
Yes. India is quite interested to buy from us copper, lithium, and air minerals. Air rare minerals or elements, they call it. And we have that. We have plenty of that minerals, and this is one of the main objectives of India from Peru is to have some custom duties avoid in such minerals. No? At the same time, we would like to sell some fruits because Peru is becoming one of the most important fruit agribusiness products. But since we don't have any free trade agreement yet, the custom duties are a little bit high. For instance, avocado, we have to pay 30% of tariff to sell in India. Meanwhile, there are other countries who already have some free trade agreements, like Australia and New Zealand, that they have 0 or 10%. That means that difference we would like to eliminate with the negotiation. Because the idea is that Indian customs has more options to buy a reduced price and quality products, especially in agribusiness, and we can provide high quality agribusiness products like fruits, for instance.
Sir, when we talk about FTA, what would you say, where are the talks right now? Are they in final stage or before final? And sir, what are the sticking points that are delaying the process right now? How long it will take to wrinkle them out? Can you give us more detail about the sticking points?
Yes. First of all, this is a complex negotiations.
Yes.
They have several chapters. They have chapters like in goods and services, cooperation, for instance, property, intellectual property, etc. No? The most important point is how much India can accept to reduce tariffs in several products, as well as Peru. If we reduce in the most important product that we have to sell in India, and vice versa, that means consumers from India and Peru are going to benefit.
So there is, as you mentioned, there is a discussion on critical minerals to talk about, if you talk about them. And what kind of cooperation Peru is expecting besides exporting them? Or are we talking about uh, technological venture, joint technological venture,
Yes.
extractions? Can you give us details about
Yes. For India, these critical minerals are very important. They need it, and they would like to have a separate chapter in our free trade agreement. We are studying this issue. But the most important thing is that we are willing to cooperate with India in this such an important goods and critical minerals, because we are plenty of them to sell it, and because we realize that India really needs it, and we are willing to do that. It's a matter of negotiating how much is going to reduce the custom values, the custom duty, but this is a technical issue.
So will Peru welcome Indian companies when if they want to invest in mining critical minerals and rare earth minerals?
Of course, we have a very liberal system. The right and obligation of the foreign companies are the same like the national. And just to have an idea about the critical minerals, Peru is the largest in silver. We're the largest country with reserves in the world. Second in copper, third in zinc, fourth in molybdenum, five in lead, and six in gold. You can imagine the potential that we have benefit from India.
So when we are talking about critical minerals, the name of China comes up every time because they control the large part of supply chains.
That's correct.
Beijing also holds significant influence over Peru's critical minerals. So in this situation, in the current picture, where does India sit, and how can what Peru wants, what kind of involvement Peru wants from India in the critical mineral sectors?
I must say that China has an important presence in Peru in the mining sector. They have a couple of very important copper mines and one in iron ore. But since only 82% of our potential minerals are free to be taken by foreign companies, India has still a big opportunity to acquire or to buy minings of minerals.
Yeah.
And in fact, we would like to have some balance of the investors in Peru. And India already there in the exploration of some mines, but not at the level that we would like that India could act. And India wanted that's a win-win situation for both countries.
So, though the relationship between two countries are friendly, but the geographical distance we cannot ignore about the geographical distance. It is very far, and there are no direct flights. Because you mentioned about promoting culture and
Yes.
cultural ties, that needs connection. The connecting flights when we have to go to Peru, it takes over a day
Yes.
to reach Peru. So, are there any plans to have direct flights to Peru or from Peru to India, Delhi, or to India somewhere else?
In fact, we already spoke to the civil aviation minister about it because it's true, the air connectivity is very poor. We have an idea, in fact, all Latin Americans and countries want. The most quick connectivity example is about to open an airline flight from Air India, for instance, from Delhi to Madrid. Why Madrid? Because from Madrid we can take several flights every day from our capitals in Latin America. For instance, we have from Lima to Madrid 6 flights daily with 4 different airlines. And if we have a connection from Delhi to Lima through Madrid, will be plenty of opportunities, and we are going to strengthen our connectivity.
So when we talk about bilateral relationships, the head
Yes.
of states and head of governments, if we speak about. But in recent year, we haven't seen any visits from Peru head of government, that is president, to India, and neither from here the prime minister's visit to Peru. Are there any plans for a visit or a visit from here? What, can you tell us a bit about that?
Yes. The problem is that we are going to conduct some presidential elections very soon, in April next year. Then now we are in a sort of transitional period. This is why we are waiting for the result of the election, and of course, I'm sure we are going to request some visits from our president. But nevertheless, this year in March, the foreign minister of Peru came, as well as the Minister of Trade and Tourism. Both ministers came as a sign that we indeed would like to strengthen our relationship.
Sir, I want to ask you about all the ties. Are there plans to enhance education ties in educational sector and something like that, sir, where both countries can get benefited from each other? Tourism is a big sector where both countries can work on. So can
Yes, in the educational field, we are trying to do something. For instance, next week, Vice Chancellor of a very important university in Lima is coming to start a visit. The Vice Chancellor wanted to go to, of course, Delhi, Bangalore, and Goa. I think this visit is going to have good results. Regarding our cultural ties, in fact, we just participated in the Bihar Biennale, Museum Biennale, with a very successful presentation about textiles, from 5,000 years of textiles in Peru until now. It was very successful, and I'm glad to. And last year we participated in the musical festival in Nagaland, Hornbill Festival, with a presentation of a Peruvian band, and was very successful as well.
Sir, I want to ask, my last is progressing from here. We are seeing the growth. From here, how do you see in coming years?
Well, the most important, let's say, action will be to finalize the free trade agreement. I hope this will be at the earliest stage next year, because our experience with such a trade instrument is quite successful. In fact, we have several free trade agreements, even with several Asian countries. I'm sure with the implementation of the free trade agreement with India is going to not duplicate, triplicate the trade and investment, I'm sure, with India.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much.